Hello. So, as I promised, and I hope that I can keep that promise, I'm going to start out this little mini series, I guess you would call it, on the Marvel movies, like building up to Infinity War and eventually Endgame, hopefully. And yeah, hold on. This is okay. Here we go. So the way I wanted to do this series originally is that I wanted to work backwards from Infinity War to Iron Man, basically in that order, like backwards. But I decided against that because, one, while that could actually work in theory, I don't think it's necessarily practical given that if I start with Infinity War, then so much is not going to make sense when I talk about that movie without the context of the other movies. Because, like I said previously, Infinity War, on its own, like Infinity War is basically like I hate that word, like 4 or 5 different plots happening at the same time. There's like no like A, B, or C plot. No, these are all A plots. Because this is like everyone like getting split up and like going through their own ways to like try and stop Thanos, and like it's like really messy. Like if you don't understand like any of the Marvel movies or haven't seen any of them, like Infinity War is like not gonna make sense to you in the slightest, because like already like you have to be on top of like all the plots. Like, okay, Thor's here, like Peter Quill's over here, Star-Lord is over here, Captain America's there, and then you got Iron Man over there. So it's just like everyone's like in all different sorts of places, and it's just really confusing, especially like if you don't understand the opening of like Infinity War, then you have not watched Thor Ragnarok. But even then, that demonstrates that you probably won't understand what's going on in that movie. So in order to do this series right, I'm going to have to start from the beginning. And I know that probably sucks for some people, but like, too bad. You should have watched the movies. You wouldn't be watching this if you watched the Marvel movies. So without further ado, let's begin. And we're going to begin with Iron Man, released back in, I think, 2009. Maybe 2008. I remember watching it in theaters. I think it was 2009. Anyway, this is what kicks off Marvel. You know, the whole shebang. And basically, for those of you who are never going to watch it or are still watching this, Iron Man is basically the first, I don't know, I guess you could call it it's the first Marvel movie in like the phases, you know, like this is where it all begins. And it begins with our main protagonist, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Tony Stark, who is Iron Man, aka being played by Robert Downey Jr., who is fantastic and who I would love to be one day. And so Iron Man begins with Tony Stark. Basically, he's this like typical rich playboy, you know, millionaire whose father and probably grandfather, but whose father founded Stark Industries, which is basically a military industrial thing. You know, just like, you know, just building toys of war for the U.S. government and anyone else is willing to buy, you know, missiles, all that kind of like, you know, basic shit. So, and he's basically just this playboy millionaire, and he's going out to into the desert, I think in the Middle East. I don't know, it's not clear, but it's probably the Middle East, where he's going out there to basically just demonstrate like his, you know, his toys of war to like military contractors and such like that. And he gets ambushed by a bunch of, I don't even know, is it right to call them that? We'll call them terrorists, because like they pretty much are. And they ambush him because like he's Tony Stark, and he's like, he might be like this like playboy millionaire, but he's actually like really smart, like actually has intelligence. So they kidnap him and they want him to build a weapon basically, and they already captured this other guy who's been there for longer. And so yeah, and then like of course the attack like cripples Tony basically, and like the other guy's keeping him alive, and then like they make a plan to like get out of there, you know, by building this suit of iron. You know, it's just like, that's where Iron Man basically comes from, where it's like Tony is just like fighting his way out, and he does like eventually get out of there. He destroys the base mostly, and then like when he gets back to civilization, you know, gets back to his house and all, then he gets obsessed with the idea of like creating a suit of iron, you know, like Iron Man. So that's what basically he devotes a lot of his time to, because like the guy kept him alive by basically like putting like a people are gonna hate me for this, but I don't know what it's called, but like it's like a capacitor or something, like it's keeping him alive, like it's keeping like the poisonous metals like otherwise would have killed him, like it's keeping everything intact, it's keeping him alive. So he basically gets obsessed with that because of that, and you know, he just does his thing, you know. That's basically the movie is just him about like trying to like reinvent himself, you know, like get Pepper, you know. And I can't even remember like who was that other asshole, the villain. It doesn't matter. Point is, he has to reinvent himself in order to get the girl he wants, and that's not really, that's basically the movie. So yeah, simplest plot, whatever. But like, I also want to take this time to like suggest like why I like Iron Man. You know, like why I actually. He is like, I've probably said this before, maybe not, but it doesn't matter. Iron Man is my favorite Marvel character by far, by a lot. He just is, because like he plays on these tropes that I enjoy myself. Like he's like this intelligent guy, you know, really smart, like really tech savvy, you know. It's just like, it's the kind of tech savvy, and like, while he's like a good guy, he's also an asshole. And that's kind of like the characteristics I love about him, because like he's that guy, like, you know, just like most heroes, you know, it's just like, and that's the other thing, like most heroes, they have like kind of some kind of superpower, you know, like to fly, whatever, Superman. But that's the thing why I love him so much, is because like he's not a superhero in like the traditional sense where he has some kind of superpower, like with basically all of the other Avengers, where he's basically Batman. I mean, Batman, is basically the same character. It's just like Batman, rich guy, bad history with his parents, really bad. And he's basically a rich, normal guy who uses his riches to become a superhero. That's what I loved about Tony. I mean, I think Iron Man's cooler because like you do more. But like, that's what I love about his character. It's just like he's this normal, rich dude who decides to become a superhero, and he's basically what people want to do. They want to just turn themselves into a superhero, and he did, without the help of any superpowers, unless you count like the reactor in his chest, but I don't know. So that's why I love him, because like unlike Superman, who's probably like the most boring superhero created, Tony Stark is like, he's got a lot of flaws, and like in that movie they really go on those flaws. Like you can tell like he's an asshole, and he has like deep personal issues, and like that's what I love. The character has depth, unlike so many other superhero characters. That's what I love about him, and that's why I'm going to continue loving him. And that's why Iron Man is not only my favorite Marvel character, but that Iron Man, like that first movie, like the first movie in the trilogy, and it, not even that, is my favorite movie of all time. Like Iron Man, no hands down, no competition. Like that's my favorite superhero movie in general, and that's, I'm gonna stick with that. And if you want to fight me, fucking fight me, bitch. But like that's all I gotta say. So I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.